Do you ever feel frustrated at the end of the day when you didn't get everything done that you had hoped? Today I'm sharing some practical ways to solve this problem so you can consistently wake up excited and go to bed content, even when things don't go as planned. If you're new here, I'm April Perry with LearnDoBecome.com, and we help people who are drowning in the details of life to create simple systems so they can do what matters most. Now, we all know how it feels when you have a list for the day and then you barely scratch it. It can feel incredibly challenging, especially when we feel like we're under a lot of pressure. And then to compensate for that, we might either push ourselves beyond what's healthy in order to get it all done, or we get frustrated with ourselves or with others for not completing what was needed. And then that can lead to this general sense of powerlessness over our schedules and decreased confidence in our ability to get things done, or an increase in the overall tension that we feel as we approach each day. So before we dive into what to do when that happens, let's back up for a moment because first, we want to make sure that initially our lists are super short and that we utilize our next actions list or our routines list as much as possible. So then only the must-dos are on our list for the day. So I'll explain that a little bit more. When I say the must-dos for the day, so I use a weekly Franklin planner. I'm holding it up to show you how it works. But on today, right now it's Tuesday, and I have a small list of things at the very, very bottom of the page that are my must-dos for the day. That's like my calendar specific list for today. And those are things I'm either going to do or delegate or we'll figure it out, but they need to at least be addressed today. The next actions list, I use this little bookmark, but it's a bookmark I keep in my planner and you could totally do all this digitally, but it's home, phone, errands, computer to discuss, and I have a little reading one on there. But these are more flexible tasks. So I don't write them down every day and then I move them around to the next day and the next day and the next day. I just have it on this floating next actions list so that I can work on it when I'm in the appropriate context, right? Running errands or having a discussion with Eric or something like that. And then a routines list is where you can record all the things that you do daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, yearly, things like that. And those routines are generally on autopilot, but if there are some that you either need to make sure you don't forget, or as you're establishing a routine, you want to add it to your calendar, your must-do list, that works. But that way you have routines kind of on autopilot in one place, a next actions list that's just ready for you throughout the week when you're in the appropriate context, and then your calendar specific list is very short. But let's say you did that. Let's say your calendar specific list is very manageable and you step into your day thinking, okay, I can do all these things that are required for my family, for my health, for my business, for my volunteer work, whatever it is. And then if that doesn't get done, then here's an idea. We encourage you to name what you did instead, and then use that as an educational experience to figure out if you need to make changes for the future, or if you just need to accept the fact that some days require more flexibility. If you clearly name what you did instead, you'll start to see patterns. And that's the purpose of today's podcast and video, is to help you to be able to identify the patterns, to look for them, and then to be able to use those patterns to create a future that just feels more relaxed and more calm. So here are a few questions that you could ask yourself that might be helpful. Am I simply procrastinating because this feels complicated or I don't think I should actually be doing this? Sometimes we have a project or a task that is multi-step or multifaceted. And so we're putting it off because it feels like a big blob. And that's one note I'll just make. If any time you think about your work and it feels like a big blob, you probably don't have the very next action identified. And we have lots of videos on our YouTube channel and podcasts that go over this. So you can dive into those if you'd like. But having that next action identified is going to prevent procrastination. And sometimes we really shouldn't be the ones doing it. Sometimes we do need to delegate or hire out or let someone else own their life and not jump in and do it for them. So that's a good first question. All right, next. Am I working on hidden projects I never actually wrote down? We encourage you to record any projects, multi-step tasks that can actually be completed, within a month or less or more, but can actually be completed, checked off. And if you have them all written down, it's easy to prioritize them into what's current, what's next in line, what's someday, things like that. But if we never write them down and we're just working on all these hidden projects, we say to someone, oh, sure, I can put that together for you. Oh, yeah, I can host that event. Oh, sure, let me go ahead and record that extra video or whatever you need. Then you end up with these hidden projects that are taking more of your time, but they're not actually like on the books. You don't have any proof that you were planning to do them. And so they end up taking more time. Another question might be, am I booking myself too tightly and not creating enough buffer for rest and replenishment? Or am I being fully honest about how much time things actually take? Sometimes it's easy to think, oh, I can get that whole thing done in 20 minutes when you know it takes you an hour. Okay, another question might be, did I respond to an interruption that was simply a higher priority? So I was living according to my true values, even though I didn't get all of my predefined work done. And am I working within healthy boundaries? Do I need to strengthen those boundaries in the future, potentially creating more space for mental focus? So these obviously aren't the only questions that you could ask, but these are some starter questions. And what I love about this is we're not placing blame on ourselves or anyone else. We're just literally trying to get to the root of why is it that what I planned and then what actually happened didn't match up. Like, what was it? Let's become little detectives and figure it out. So to bring this to life, I'll just give a recent example that happened here in our home. So it was last week, and I had a few computer and creative projects that were on my list one day. And those require total focus, mental energy for me. But I only got a fraction of my work done, and not wanting to repeat that scenario, I just named what I did instead. Okay, so this was my list I typed out last week. So first we had a repair person come to fix a couple of faucets and our water pressure, and Eric was managing all that. But the morning routine had been shifted a bit to get things done in advance before the water was turned off. Like, I gotta go shower first, we gotta feed the dog, get the dog's water, fill up water we'll need for the day, all the things. And so my morning routine was just kind of front loaded that day. And then when the repair person was here, he just left a lot of dirt on the kitchen floor because, he's moving around and his shoes were dirty. And so when he left, then I got out the vacuum. And then as long as I was vacuuming that one room, I might as well vacuum the whole main level. So I vacuum like the bedroom and the bathroom and the dining room. I'm just having a little vacuuming party. Okay, so then we also had someone come a little later to fix our front window. And so there was a little back and forth. Again, Eric was managing that, but we were talking about what needed to be done. They were getting my feedback, checking the work. So not a ton on my end, but still it caused more starts and stops than I would have preferred because it was my focus work time. Okay. And then I also spent more time messaging back and forth with a nutritionist that I recently hired. And so I just stopped my work whenever a message came in from her. I was like, oh yeah, here's the next question I have. We were just, chatting through the day. And text messages or, messaging through any app might seem like, oh, it just takes a second. But that's going to interrupt your flow, right? It's one more thing that you're starting, stopping, context switching, right? Okay, then there was a big rainstorm that day, and after walking the dog, Sunny was super wet, and so she needed extra towels to get her dry, and I was soaked, so I needed to change my clothes. Anyway, all of that just added to the tasks of the day. And then as I was working, I got some new ideas for something we're working on here at LearnDoBecome. So I took 20 minutes to just sit down and get things all outlined, empty my brain of all these good ideas that came. And then Eric wanted to update me on some things related to a project we're working on together. So then we had this impromptu chat in my office for 20 minutes or so. So now looking back and going through all those little things, it's pretty clear why I didn't get as much done that day as I'd hoped. I basically needed time to just sit and focus for a few hours, and instead I was just bouncing all over the place. And that makes sense why I felt like, oh man, what happened? And that's the thing, is that as you're going through the day and these things are popping up, sometimes you don't even realize that you're shifting your priority until the end of the day comes and you realized, oh wait, what happened? And when we had children in our home, the situations were very similar, where someone would come home feeling really sad or happy or curious or worried, or they'd want to talk, or someone needed help with a homework assignment, or someone wanted me to see something funny, or they just wanted to visit. And I don't regret any of those moments. Having our children here and having an environment, we call it an interruption-rich environment, but I don't think of it as interruptions because I was mothering. That was my purpose. that was my life. And so, or a part of my life, important part of my life. But if you have children right now and you're also trying to balance things to take care of those children and to take care of yourself in the process, you're going to want to have things somewhat organized so there's a little bit more focus and a little bit more control. We can't control everything, but I don't want you to ever feel like a victim and like everyone else dictates what you can do or can't do. There's a lot of wiggle room there. All right, so if you catch yourself in a situation like this, here are a couple of questions that might be helpful. Question number 1, can I adjust my expectations for the rest of the day to acknowledge the energy that was spent on these other things? Now, the former version of me would have just thought, okay, the day didn't go as planned. I'll just work late tonight and I'll just push myself until everything gets done. Now, sometimes that might be necessary on occasion, but that type of, I'll call it work ethic, in quotes, it tends to keep me in a constant state of vigilance that isn't sustainable long term. I worked way too hard, way too many late nights, often stressed and maybe feeling panicked in our early days. And now the new version of me won't do that. So instead of just saying, oh, I'll stay up late and do it, the new version of me went ahead and just moved like 90 minutes of work over to the next day when I did have quiet time on the calendar. And then I decided I would just pop over to the library to get it done if needed. If the house starts becoming busy, no problem, but I'm just going to go to the library and then I can focus. Question number 2, how can I better match my expectations to my reality in the future? So I just wrote down a few ideas based on the scenario I shared, and I want you thinking about your own life. Maybe think of a recent day when things didn't go as planned and record, what you did instead. And then let's brainstorm. How could I match my expectations to my reality in the future? So here's my idea. First, whenever a repair person or anyone is scheduled to come to our home, I will recognize it's either going to take some bandwidth from me, or I will arrange to be out of the home and have someone else fully managing the details. No more trying to do deep work while I'm also talking to someone who's in my house. Like, that just doesn't work at the same time. Whenever I start a new course or work with a new coach or make adjustments in my life, I will acknowledge it's a project and allow more buffer in my schedule, or actually carve out some time in my schedule. So with this nutritionist I'm working with, I put it on I have a chalkboard hanging in my office, my current projects list, and I have working with my nutritionist as a project in the for me category. And then as I'm planning my day, I can say, okay, when would be some good times to check in with her? And I can calendar it, or I can just make a little note to do it by a certain time. And that way it's incorporated into my schedule. Another idea is I will turn off my phone so that messages don't distract me when I'm trying to focus. Right now, my phone is on do not disturb mode. And that's great for me because I can sit here and record and I'm not worried that someone's texting me. I will check my text, when I'm all done. Next, whenever I decide to just quickly do one more thing, like vacuuming 4 more rooms or outlining a business idea, I will acknowledge that the extra time doesn't just magically appear when I decide to do something extra. For every yes, there's a no. It's choices. So that's fine as long as what I choose to do is truly a higher priority. It's like if you're working on something and then a child comes in and wants to talk with you. If your child is your highest priority and you haven't already said, like, well, I'm working on this one thing that has to be done today, wait until I'm done, right? You can decide. But we need to recognize anytime we just jump up and do something else, the time is going to come from something, okay? Next, I will better utilize my next actions list, and I will ease the pressure I put on my calendar specific task list. So I used to be better at this when we did have all of our children home and I was working in like 10-minute microbursts and doing all the work, a little more haphazardly. I really put very, very few things on my calendar for the day if possible because I wanted to really be available for our children. What's happened now is our children are grown and they've moved out on their own and I have a lot more control over my time. And so sometimes on my calendar specific task list, I fill it to what I hope to accomplish in the time that I have. And sometimes I get a little over optimistic. But when I do that, then I either have to rewrite it for the next day, right? Or I push myself too hard, that type of thing. So utilizing my next actions list more means I will still have my projects and my next actions ready, but I won't give myself too many deadlines all at once. And just visually having fewer things on my list, like if the list is this long versus like tiny, it alleviates any subconscious pressure I might feel. And then Eric and I decided we're going to do a simple coordination huddle each morning to discuss our needs and plans. We actually just did our first one this morning. I was super excited about it. So just a little story behind this one. Because Eric and I work from home together, we share pretty much every area of responsibility. We work a lot together. But we realized that all of our random conversations were starting to become a challenge because whenever one of us got an idea or we got a text message from someone or, oh, this email just came in, or, oh, you want to do this thing? And so we just talk to each other all the time without having space for each of us to do our deeper work. And so this past week, when I was feeling a little frustrated, like I can't get things done. I'm getting interrupted all the time. We came up with an idea to have this morning huddle and we put it on the calendar. It's Monday through Friday at the same time each day. And we sit down together, we have a prayer together, and then we each talk about what we're planning to do that day with our shared projects. So today he knows I have a series of things I was working on. He's like, I'll stay out of your hair. Go do your stuff. Here's what I'm working on. And we let each other know if we need support. And it actually was so good today because instead of just having, total flexibility for both of us to just, say whatever we want, whenever we want, we actually have a scheduled plan. And anyway, it's going really well so far. It's been like 2 hours since the meeting, but I have high hopes. So anyway, that's great. And then just as a note for those who do still have children at home, when we were in that stage of life, I found a lot of peace by just keeping blocks of time open before school and after school and in the evening just to be available. And that was time I didn't plan to do anything, just kind of being there. And sometimes it was while we were making dinner or getting ready for school or things like that, or getting ready for the day if it was summer break or they were home. But I love just knowing I have blocks of time when I'm fully present, and then I have blocks of time when I can focus and do my work. But the key, I believe, is just to recognize that even though every day brings unexpected things, we don't need to live in constant stress. And we may not have that complete control of all our time and all our energy, but we can learn from our experiences and we can build some simple systems to prepare for the unexpected, or we can create systems to renegotiate our expectations once plans have changed. And when we do that, each day becomes less of a struggle. And I know it sounds weird, but it's like a happy dance. So think of it that way. Our happy dance of a day. So I hope that that's helpful to you. And I encourage you to just keep this in mind if you have a day that doesn't turn out exactly as planned. Now I would love to share some community celebrations. We have an amazing community here at LearnDoBecome, and we invite all of you to share your successes with us. So the first one I'm going to share is from Michelle. And if you are listening to the podcast or audio version of this, you can go to our show notes page or to the video on YouTube to check it out. But Michelle sent in her before and after, and she used the hashtag microbursting. Okay, microbursting means you're working like in 10 minutes at a time, totally focused, just jump in, do what you can, and you're able to make great progress that way. So she shared her before and after, and she has this beautiful dresser. And the first picture, you can't really see the dresser because there's like tables and boxes and piles of stuff all in front of it. And the second photo reveals the dresser. She's cleared everything in front of it. So now you can't only see the dresser, but you can see all the beautiful framed photos that are there. It looks like family and friends. And there's no piles, no overwhelm. And she said, decluttering my space declutters my mind. More to follow. Hashtag on a roll. So way to go, Michelle. This is so good. And then we also have one from Amanda. She's one of our arisers in our Arise community. And we were working on streamlining our physical spaces. And she said, my area to work on was my command central. I was really motivated. I could feel my energy increasing. And she shared a little bit about her life, that she's splitting her time between her businesses. She was handling 2 family probate estates and family life. And she's like, there was so much going on. I needed to revise my command central back to my more normal way of doing things. So I'm going to explain what she explained here. If these terms sound weird, they're all inside of our Steps to Everyday Productivity program if you want to become a stepper and build a command central, or you've probably heard these terms used throughout our YouTube channel and the podcast and the free resources we have at LearnDoBecome. But she shared, I was able to combine everything back into one command central rather than 3. The cubbies now have the following slots: read and review, immediate action, pending, and current projects / next actions. Then she shared, my drawer is where I keep my monthly tickler files as well as support material for current projects and future projects. I went through future projects yesterday and it felt so good to decide what to keep and what to let go. And finally, I updated my current projects yesterday on the board to reflect my current projects. I have too many current projects, but some are so small or require extended waiting periods, so I left them up there. And again, you can choose how you do it, but we do recommend a small number of current projects, and others can be in progress / waiting, next in line, or someday. But here's my favorite part. She said, my energy is back, and back is in all caps. She said, winter has been rough here in Iowa and as a parent, but now I feel ready to tackle my projects because I know they're all organized into nice bite-sized pieces. And then she has 3 exclamation marks. Thank you for being a part of this group and helping create the energy in it. And I love it. So you can come see photos of Amanda's beautiful files and her current projects and her support materials, the whole command central. So great, Amanda. And then this last one's a quick one from Anna. She has this shoebox labeled inbox, and it just has a bunch of stuff in it, like papers and like a little holder or something. And she said, hello, steppers. On a work trip this week, I bought a pair of shoes and realized I missed my inbox. So I used the shoebox on my desk as my landing spot / inbox. Just that one change and my brain relaxed. I'm actually looking forward to the end of the day so I can clear it. Didn't need anything fancy, just one trusted place. I feel complete. Grateful for this simple shift. And the concept of an inbox is that you actually have a place to put things that need to be processed and not sticking things around everywhere. When I was growing up, we just put things everywhere, like on the fridge, on the dresser, in the backpack, forgetting to get it out. I mean, we had stuff everywhere. And just knowing that you can kind of filter things through, have landing spots, the things that can wait for your weekly review, go into the inbox, it feels so good. So I hope that this time we've spent together has been helpful for you. And I hope that you feel some sense of encouragement in knowing that if you do ever feel, I don't know, out of control, frustrated, spread too thin, it's really normal for most people to feel that way, but it's possible to create simple systems so we can do what matters most. If you're brand new, we have a welcome kit at LearnDoBecome to introduce you to these new ideas and help you know what we have for you, so much for free. You can go to learndobecome.com/welcome and sign up for your welcome kit, and we'll give you some great things to get you started, help you create your current projects list, help you learn how to finally stop drowning in piles, and feel connected and be connected to an amazing community. All right, so happy to have you with us. We'll see you soon at learndobecome.com.